Well, I actually see a brighter future for Nigeria because COVID-19 woke us up from our comatose state as a country. The health sector was neglected for decades. And what the Buhari administration is doing right now is phenomenal because it is something to know that a neglect took place. It's another thing to start finding excuses. Uh, the current administration has now committed a lot of money towards the health sector, from the primary health to the tertiary to pharmaceutical companies to researchers. Before COVID-19, we had huge problems, and COVID-19 kind of opened the Pandora box for us because we were over dependent. From the university system, the university system is weak to produce graduates that can really strengthen the pharmaceutical industry. Uh, the regulatory system was weak, and I use was because NAFDAC is no longer what NAFDAC was 3 years ago. I knew a lot about regulatory science before I joined NAFDAC, and there were things that were done wrong, but we cannot live in the past. It is what are we doing right now? If a regulatory system is weak, the pharmaceutical industry will be weak. So what we are doing now is building internal capacity, and that you cannot see on the air. What I mean by internal capacity is making sure we use quality management system. And right now, as we speak, we are going through WHO audit, which is a very tasking and arduous process. And it is the best thing that could happen to NAFDAC. What am I talking about? It is that we are strengthening our system now. We have about 200 pharmaceutical companies in the country. Few of them are moribund. About 165 companies are active. We went through the 165 one by one to gauge their good manufacturing practice compliance. You see, when you talk of falsified medicine or substandard and whatnot, whether it is imported or locally made, if the regulatory system is weak, it will reflect. So we are strengthening that as we speak. The government has devoted money to pharmaceutical industry, and I was the go-between the industry and CBN for them to redo their infrastructure. It is something that the pharmaceutical industry has never seen. And it is not the pharmaceutical industry, it's also academia. As we speak, we have body of experts, of which I'm the chairman, that we're going to, or that will give money, not give money, give money to successful applicants in terms of strengthening the development or research and development of drugs, herbal medicines, vaccines, and other medical products.
Professor Adeyeye,
So,
if I may come in, Professor Adeyeye, you mentioned something earlier. Let's just step back a bit. You talked about the question of personnel for our pharmaceutical industry, for instance, and then I put that against the question of supply, the ingredients needed for the pharmaceutical industry to even operate. So personnel talked about the university systems. You said that the university systems are not up to par. They've failed in producing the personnel needed for that sector, for the medical sector. But then one begins to wonder, even when the personnel are there, what happens to the market, the supply of the ingredients? They are not available. So what would they work with? Because I do know that almost all of our universities have faculties of pharmaceutical sciences that handle some of these things. So how's that working out?
question, it is a compounded problem. I started with the personnel. I then went to the regulatory. It is the fact that we were over dependent. The only thing that the pharmaceutical companies do not import is water. The ingredients are not there. And this, you cannot manufacture ingredients or not, whether active or non-active ingredients in the country without support from the government. That is part of what the government is doing. You cannot set up APIs or active pharmaceutical ingredients companies without training the personnel, without having solid science foundation. It is not, mom and pop type of business. It is solely based on science. So you are right about the fact that we weren't importing, we weren't making anything. But that is changing as we speak. There are 2 or 3 companies now that are going to be making some active pharmaceutical ingredients. There is another talk about making lactose. Lactose is one of the non-active ingredients. We cannot even make it. We cannot
Prof,
make it because we think importation is the best thing, but it's the worst thing that could have happened to us.